So how's being back in New York?
It's so fun, but oh my God, it's so chaotic because this is Fashion Week right now. And I swear, so many humans are on the streets. And it can't all be Fashion Week people because not everyone that I'm seeing is like, fashion-y. It's just so busy, busier than normal.
I feel like it's probably also because everyone's like back from the Hamptons, back from summering, wherever they went. So it just feels like extra busy. But I don't know. I remember when I was living in New York, I would always like dread Fashion Week a little bit because it would take like twice as long to get anywhere.
Yeah, it literally does. Oh my God, it's insane. But it's good. Went to a Fashion Week party, was reminded how chaotic they are. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm at that age where I don't need to go to all those parties. I think I'm good.
And I bet you all the influencer girlies are like out to play this week.
Oh yeah, so many. But let's hop into the beauty business news of this week because we got a lot.
Welcome to GlowJob, the beauty podcast that's more than skin deep. We're the only podcast to make you hotter and smarter.
All right, so one of the big headlines this week, KKR, the big global private equity firm, just acquired Samhwa, which is a Korean premier beauty packaging company, for $528 million.
That is wild. I mean, more than $500 million. And so what does this Samhwa do? Do they just like make the containers that product goes into?
Exactly. So what they are known for in particular is their airtight cushion compacts. So those like K-beauty cushion foundations that everyone loves. I know I'm obsessed with them. Yep, just like that one, the Clio one. So they specialize in doing premier beauty packaging. So whether it be, pump bottles, lip gloss bottles, those cushion compacts, they do everything, but they do it in a luxe style that you expect from K-beauty.
That makes sense. I mean, remember when we went to LuxPack in Los Angeles just a couple months ago? It just blew my mind at how many different types of companies are involved in like kind of the behind the scenes packaging, boxes, all of that stuff. But hey, there's big money in it.
Samhwa itself, they have been a family-run business. They were actually founded in 1977 in Korea. And prior to the KKR acquisition, TPG, another big private equity firm, they actually first acquired them in 2023. So in 2023, TPG saw that, packaging was a big part of the beauty industry. And so they came in and their goal here was to help them modernize, become more efficient. And once they did that, in true private equity style, they repackaged them, put them back on the market, and sold them for a more profitable return.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure TPG is having like a nice little payday after this.
For sure, which makes people wonder, so why did KKR come in and buy them at such a high price point? And so what I think is that KKR sees that beauty packaging, in particular this type of packaging that Samhwa is known for, there is a global demand amongst beauty brands to elevate their packaging. So Samhwa, they are very big in Asia, but they have not expanded globally just yet. And so what KKR wants to do is they want to open those global doors because of their reach, because of the connections that they have. And so they see an opportunity to make even more money, which is crazy to even think about, but clearly they would not be investing or buying them for that reason without, big numbers behind it.
And it makes sense. I mean, I feel like a lot of the packaging that they're probably making already is from like that K-beauty, all of those trends, cushion compacts, for example. But as we see, all of those trends eventually do make it to the US market, right? Like tier is everywhere nowadays, or in Ulta. So I feel like there's going to be more, probably even American brands adopting, Korean style packaging. But these guys can make whatever. Yeah, they can make whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is what makes them so attractive, is because they have such deep expertise in producing these types of very particular kinds of packaging. They know that they can probably do any sort of custom packaging for these brands. And they can do it now at scale, especially with KKR money behind them.
All right, next up, I have this crazy story. But have you heard of the brand called Sincerely Yours?
I feel like it's all I'm seeing on social media right now.
It's wild. It's founded by Salish Matter, who is 15 years old. Crazy, right? I mean, she is working with her dad. But earlier this week, they did a pop-up at a mall in New Jersey, and there was an over 80,000 person turnout for this event.
Damn, that is one popular 15-year-old.
I know. And it's, when I was reading a little bit more about it, I don't think they had any idea it was going to be this big because they only brought like 20,000 samples with them. And I was reading online on Reddit, kind of getting a feel of like what was the event actually like. It was ticketed, but apparently tickets don't matter at this kind of event. And like people even said they felt a little bit unsafe, but honestly, in a crowd that size, I mean, to be expected.
Oh, for sure. And so isn't she also a YouTuber? Like that's kind of how she rose to fame.
Yes, it's wild. I actually did a little digging because to be honest, like I'm a millennial. I have never heard of this person before, but technically, like, yeah, the audience is Gen Alpha and she's almost Gen Alpha. She's missed it by like a month and a day, basically, but her presence online is massive. So starting off with YouTube, 3 million followers, Instagram, 4 million followers, and TikTok, 2.4 million followers. And she's 15.
Oh my God. See, sometimes I just think to myself, I'm like, there are so many people who are like, quote unquote, famous on social media that like, I just have no idea about because I'm not that demographic.
I mean, Salicia's definitely one of them. But, I was actually looking at the products that she's selling. And I got to say, like, for a teen line, I think they're doing it right. It's really simple, only 4 SKUs right now. It's like a cleanser, like a hydrating serum toner, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen, a mineral sunscreen. So, really, just the bare basics of what a teen actually needs. But the packaging is still fun and like youthful looking. So, I get why it was so popular.
The one thing I really like about this launch is that this is very teen skin friendly. I think given the whole buzz around the Sephora Kids and, kids using products that they should not be using like retinols and, just acids on their face that they're probably too young to be using, this probably is going to make a lot of parents very happy and feel safe that their kids can, partake in the Sephora Kid trend, but still not like do things that are bad for their skin,
Yeah, I think all of these teens and tweens, they kind of want something in between, like, Drunk Elephant's retinol serum and like the no tear shampoo that you can buy at a drugstore. So I'm glad that this is there for them. But I don't know, I was kind of digging around a little bit on Sincerely Yours's like social media profile, just trying to get a sense. But like, it is amazing. And I mean, I know people like buy followers and stuff, but like the amount that they've grown is crazy. But listen to this, listen to this. So already on Instagram, they've only made 15 posts, okay? 130,000 followers, right?
Oh my God.
And on TikTok, 18 posts and 387,000 followers,
Wow. That is
right?
insane. This girl, like, if you have this on your resume and you're applying to college, like, is this what it takes to get into Harvard? Oh, Jesus
That's
Christ.
what I'm saying. It's gotta be because, like, honestly, this is like so impressive. And she's so cute. And she like dresses like a normal teenage girl, right? Like, I was looking at photos. She's like barefaced, super young, just like really just like wholesome, I wanna say. I think wholesome is a good word for it, but damn, good for her.
Good for her. She kind of reminds me of like the Taylor Swift for tweens of skincare. It's like parent approved, it's, colorful, poppy, it's exactly what girls want. But again, parent approved, I feel like is a very key thing here.
Finally, right? Like, I think that this, like, her launch in general is going to kind of quell a lot of like difficult conversations between like Sephora kids and their moms, like, Mom, buy me this. But now they have something they can buy.
Next up, gel manicures have now been banned in Europe. This is crazy.
Honestly, yeah, I know. Cause like when I think of like a lot of like the UK aesthetic, I think of like the Essex babes and like the Love Island types. And I know they love a good gel mani, right? But so
Mhm.
as of September 1st, the European Union, they banned this ingredient. And I'm just gonna read it out loud, but it's called trimethyl diphenyl phosphine oxide, aka just TPO. But basically it was banned and it's like the main ingredient that really causes the gel to harden like under that UV light. But people are saying that it's a potential carcinogenic, it can cause mutations, it can be even toxic for reproduction.
Oh gosh, that's insane. I mean, if you think about it, like the fact that a manicure can last on your nails that long, you have to kind of question, like, is this good for me that it can basically last a month?
That's fair, but the reason why I was like so shocked because it never occurred to me that it could be unhealthy because I always thought at least that gel manis and that whole kind of science behind the UV curing came from dental work, right? Like getting like fillings done and using the UV to cure it in place. So
Mhm.
I always just kind of assume like if it's safe enough to go in your mouth, it's probably safe enough to go on your fingers. But I think this is like a different ingredient in the mix because I also know that not all gel nail polishes use this ingredient. But I can guarantee that every single one of these like gel nail polish lines that does have that ingredient, they're going to be like racing and racing and racing to just reformulate.
Next up on the acquisition news, Nudestix just got acquired by an undisclosed US private firm. I'm sure in the weeks to come we'll learn who they are, but the deal was just announced on September 12th. They have not disclosed the pricing just yet, but what I find interesting about this is actually the founders of this brand. Nudestix was founded by chemical engineer Jen Frankel and her two daughters, Taylor and Allie. So Jen actually used to be a product developer for Mac, and she co-founded CoverFX.
Damn, does this make this like a Nepo baby situation?
Like a little bit, but also I kind of love that she's doing this with her daughters.
I think it's nice. I think that, if anyone's going to teach you like this, what a great thing to like learn from your parents, right? Like I know how hard it is to build a brand and scale a brand. And like Nudestix is definitely different than, Cover FX and Mac. So I don't know. I'm so curious to know like how much they bought it for. Because when I think of the line, like they do like the stick blushes. They have a couple of like liquid blushes with like I think it's like sunscreen in it. But like clearly, as I'm talking about it, like I honestly don't know that much from the line. Like I don't see too much of them. But I know that like Sephora and Ulta. I don't know. I feel like they're not so much like in the beauty it girl zeitgeist that would like make this acquisition as exciting as like Rhodes acquisition.
Well, they are actually a Canadian brand. So they're a Canadian color cosmetics brand, which I feel like is also another reason why they're not like top of mind for us as American consumers. But this is pretty big. She co-founded CoverFX and now her second acquisition with her daughters. I don't know. It's pretty exciting.
Well, we'll see what happens next. And next, we have some moves and just kind of changes over at Glossier regarding their upper management.
Colin Walsh has just been named the new CEO of Glossier. He's slated to start in October. So this follows the announcement that former CEO Kylie Leahy had just announced that she was stepping down from the role earlier this year. And she announced her departure on June 24th via a company-wide email. So Kylie was the CEO who came in after Emily Weiss stepped down. So she's been at the helm for the past couple years. Colin joins Glossier after having been CEO at Way, and he also was at Procter & Gamble. So Colin was at Way even before their acquisition. So he saw that brand through a big business move. And so I think Glossier sees this as like, okay, we really want a storied seasoned exec to come in and lead this next chapter for Glossier. I think it's going to be interesting to see what changes he might bring about.
Honestly, I'm really excited. Like, I have been a fan of Glossier for a while, really just more interested in like the story of the brand because of that book and because of how much they've been in the news. I feel like, as someone who's so interested in the industry, like really being able to track everything along the way for me as a consumer is exciting. But like when I think about what the brand has been up to in the past couple of years, especially under Leahy, it hasn't been that crazy. The original You fragrance that got launched before Leahy came. So they did like a couple of like redone versions of the fragrance, like a couple different variations of the scent. They had their new powder blush, which just launched, but there was also a lot of launches that just kind of fell and almost flopped, you could even argue. Like there was like a highlighter, a lip oil. I don't know about you, but I didn't even hear about those.
I feel like the Leahy era was when Glossier kind of slowed down because a lot of these other big, clean beauty brands came onto the scene and dominated. And like I'm thinking like Kosas and Tower 28 and
Merit.
Say, Merit. Exactly. Those players ate up a lot of the market space that Glossier used to dominate. So I think hopefully this will be a new chapter for them to revive the brand because I feel like Glossier has always been that millennial brand. It's literally a millennial pink,
Yeah, I don't think they've strayed away from that millennial pink. I don't know. I still like that Glossier shade of pink, but we'll see. Because I know Leahy, she definitely tried a lot of moves, right? Like she was the one that brought Glossier into Sephora. Because for the longest time, like they were just like D2C and had a couple of locations in just like only major cities. So we'll see kind of like what Colin is going to come in and do differently.
I remember when Glossier first launched in New York City, and it was like the it job for girls to work in that store. Like I remember I had a girlfriend, she was like, oh my gosh, I got this like pop-up shop job and it's at this new brand called Glossier. And she was like, it was so hard to get this job. And I was like, what? And I remember going the first day they opened, and that retail space was kind of revolutionary for a beauty brand. You know, it was so branded pink. And even with the little plastic bags, and they'd print out your name once you actually like, you know, purchased your order. They were really ahead of the curve. But
Oh, I
again,
totally agree. Yeah. No, I
yeah,
think that they just did everything differently and showed that like how brands can have a personality that's really distinctive. Cause like before then, like all of the other brands, they weren't really doing anything different from each other. But now we see like how many people are kind of taking playbooks out of Glossier, right? In terms of like how they're really focused on building community, how they're doing social activations. Like I think people also forget that like making products designed to look good on Instagram for a shelfie, right? Like all those like product
yes.
flat lays, that all came from Glossier, right? Like they were the ones that started that whole trend.
I still use Boy Brow to this day, and I do really enjoy their mascara. I'm hopeful that things will turn around for them.
Yeah, but I just want something new, right? Like I feel like I haven't bought a new product from them in such a long time because nothing has really like piqued my interest. I don't know, like I have so many blushes. I don't know if I need another one at this point, but I just want something new. And last on the docket, we have some new kind of exciting things happening in the lab with Estee Lauder.
So Estee Lauder just appointed Renee Lammers as the Executive Vice President and Chief Research and Innovation Officer effective October 1st. So this is interesting. So he has a PhD. He also comes from like a very esteemed scientific background. He joins Estee Lauder from PepsiCo, where he most recently served as the Executive Vice President and Chief Science Officer. In this new role, Lammers is going to lead the evolution of Estee Lauder's global research and innovation capabilities, which includes product and clinical innovation, scientific affairs, regulatory strategy, and technologies across the company's brand portfolios.
Okay, so he's about to be a very busy boy. Um,
Yes.
but honestly, it's good. I mean, it makes sense. Estee Lauder is throwing what, $1 billion into this lab, right? Like, I think even more than that. Because honestly, like, they have to give ingredients and products and, whatever it may be to every single one of their, subsidiary companies, kind of where it's coming from. And there's a lot of brands that go about and work to create their own proprietary ingredients. I think a key example of this is definitely SK2 with their hallmark ingredient, Patera. It's literally like the hero ingredient across all of their products. And I think what a lot of people don't actually realize is that Patera is actually just galactomyces ferment filtrate, right? Like it's a fermented product, brightens the skin, obviously works really, really well. But, a lot of other brands use it. But when they go and create it themselves, they're able to kind of market it in a different way that kind of elevates the brand, gives it kind of like a more sciencey edge to it without being overly like science washing.
And so Estee Lauder, with that kind of money and with this new appointment behind their Chief Research and Innovation Officer, they're going to be able to do more research and probably find new proprietary ingredients that can help zhuzh up their dying portfolio brands because they have been missing the mark the past few quarters in terms of their earnings reports. Oof.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're going about it this way, right? Like they're going about it from the science route. So I think that honestly makes me a little bit more excited rather than them just having and coming out with like a new buzzy product, right? Like they're actually coming out with something innovative that's science backed. So I'm honestly down for it because brands are clearly throwing a lot of money behind science these days. Like just the other day, like Olaplex is acquiring Provala, like all of these, brands are making moves in the science sphere.
I'm glad that brands are trying to differentiate in this way, and it's not just slapping on some new marketing and some new label and logo. This is good. It's going to help the consumer. All right, guys, that is a wrap on today's Chit Chat. Stay tuned next Monday for our weekly Chit Chat episode, which is our roundup of beauty, business, and pop culture hits.
See you then.